Yeah. No, just take them off. I'll wash them. Thank you. Right. Thanks. Hi, Angela.
Hello, welcome everybody. We are so excited for you to be here today um, with Melissa Berry, the Cancer Fashionista. Um, Super excited for you to join us in this three-part series. So again, if you registered for today, you were already registered for the next two sessions, which will be coming up in August and September. But without further ado, I would love to introduce Melissa. Welcome to the ABCD family, and to welcome to all of you. If you would just keep your microphones on mute unless you have a question, that'd be great. If you do have a question, please type it in the chat during the presentation. We really want this to be as interactive as possible and really get to everyone's questions or comments. You can also use the little hand raise in at the bottom of the Zoom screen. There's a react button, so you can do that. And then we will call on you as soon as possible. So thank you again, Melissa, for joining us. We are super excited to have you. And I'm just going to pull up a little bit about Melissa while she talks about herself and Cancer Fashionista.
Thank you so much, Carrie, for such a wonderful and warm welcome, and to the entire team at ABCD for inviting me to host this very special series. This topic is very near and dear to my heart, and I, just like so many of you, went through a lot after being diagnosed and treated with breast cancer, that I just don't want anyone to feel alone. And I would love for you to all leave here feeling supported and encouraged and not alone.
Great. Can everyone see my screen or not?
I don't see the slide.
Okay. 1 second. Let me make sure I get this right. There we go. Okay. So here we are. Sorry about that.
No worries. And I also want to just for all of you to pat yourselves on the back for just being here, for showing up. This is probably one of the highest forms of self-care, is to join a group like this, especially through the direction of ABCD, such an incredible group. This is a safe space. We are obviously, as Carrie mentioned, it's recorded. It's going to be on YouTube, but we encourage you to ask as many questions, and I'm here to help you. So without further ado, my name is Melissa Berry. I'm the founder of Cancer Fashionista. I'm a 13-year triple negative breast cancer survivor. I have a lot of breast cancer in my family, and I'm a BRCA gene carrier. And I was very proactive about my health. And unfortunately, even though I was very closely monitored and I knew I had the gene, 13 years ago, I was diagnosed and treated for triple negative breast cancer. I was stage 1, and I had a bilateral mastectomy and ACT chemotherapy. So I call it the works. I lost my hair. I lost my breasts. I went through a lot, as I'm sure so many of you are going through right now. And in my first life, I was a fashion and beauty publicist, and I always loved products and looking and feeling my best. And when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, once I knew what my course of treatment was, I thought, where do I get the wigs, the lashes, all the things? Where do I find out about, confidence and feeling good about myself? And there was really nothing in one place. So I started a blog way back when, and I called it Cancer Fashionista. And then during COVID, I decided to take it another level. And I launched my podcast called Dear Cancer, I'm Beautiful, which I'm the host of. And I talk about everything from fashion and beauty to intimacy, and just anything that can help you with your quality of life after and during your breast cancer diagnosis and treatment. So, before we get started, maybe if you're comfortable, if everyone can maybe share in the chat where you're from and what stage breast cancer you are and where you are in your experience at the moment, that will help me navigate the conversation a little bit. And in the meantime, I'm going to share a little bit more about me. As I mentioned, I'm BRCA positive. I was going for a very routine mammogram. In fact, I was being monitored in New York City, and I live in New Jersey. And my doctor in the city was like, "You don't need to schlep to the city anymore. Go see a doctor in New Jersey." And of course, the one day that I decided to go to a totally different hospital and a totally different doctor by myself in a rush, on my way to work, was when we saw something suspicious. And the nurse practitioner felt a lump, and it actually led to the diagnosis of my triple negative breast cancer pretty much that day. They really knew what it was right away. And I had to undergo very aggressive chemotherapy, which I'm sure if anyone here is a triple negative breast cancer patient or survivor or thriver, you know that ACT chemo is pretty intense. So I had to undergo intense chemotherapy. As I mentioned earlier, I lost all of my hair, my breasts, and it was a shock. I did not know how to navigate this at all. As I'm sure all of you can agree, it's something that you don't prepare for, you can't be prepared for, and it's very scary, and it could be also very, very isolating if you don't know what resources to turn to. Okay, I see Katie. We have from all over the country. We've got Long Beach, Wyoming, Cleveland, San Antonio, Texas. Daniela, thank you for sharing that you're also triple negative. You just finished radiation a month ago. And we have Iowa in the house. We also have Philly, as I mentioned, LA. And this is awesome. We also have Valley, who's an oncology nurse navigator with the breast care team, here to learn how I can support women better. Bravo. We love, love, love to hear our healthcare providers tuning in to programs like this so that you can better serve the patient community. So, I was always into fashion and beauty and my hair and my makeup. And after breast cancer, you really feel like so much of that is stripped from you and taken away from you. And it definitely changed the way that I saw myself. Even though I was always a very positive person, I'm like, I'm going to, get through this. I'm going to rally. But I remember even when I had the initial surgery and I had the expanders in, before I had nipple reconstruction and before my breasts were reconstructed, no one prepared me for that. No one prepared me for what a mastectomy would look like and feel like afterwards. And really, in my mind, I just kept telling myself, the cancer's out, the cancer's out. This is a good thing. But it's very, very hard to wrap your head around what you're seeing in the mirror. So the scars, from the surgery and the loss of, I did not have nipple sparing surgery. I lost my nipples, and then I actually went into early menopause even before I had breast cancer, because I carried the BRCA gene. I was told that, by the time you're 40, we want you to have your ovaries out. So I had an oophorectomy. So even before breast cancer, I was basically in menopause. And I think that is also a whole other layer, because it affects your energy and how you feel. and depression and anxiety and all the things, and just overall body image. It was just, I would catch myself in the mirror and I felt like sometimes it was really hard to look. So before we move on, I really want to sit here for a minute because there's a lot on this page between scars, losing your hair, reconstruction, menopause, body image. What has been the hardest part for you guys that I can help with as far as how you see yourself? What changes have been the hardest for you? I know for me, like losing my hair was really traumatic. And even though I had a beautiful wig, I really, I remember thinking to myself, well, if I don't have hair, I'm really going to look like I have cancer. And that's when I really felt like I had cancer. Let's see, we have, yes, weight gain, totally. Is a big one. I didn't even mention it here, but that's also something that so many of us have to struggle with, and it all affects our confidence, which is why we're here today, because I wanted to help support you all in this journey. And then Sani just mentioned flat scars. I did have full reconstruction, but I have so many friends in the community that did either choose to go flat or they had to go flat. And that is also something that we almost have to learn to look at ourselves in a different way. And it took me a really long time to get there. I almost didn't want to look. I was afraid for my partner to see my reconstructed breasts, or throughout that process is so hard. Like I mentioned earlier with the having the expanders and then moving on to breast reconstruction and the scars. It's such a long process that no one really prepares you for. And all of that can be really hard. Okay, so I have someone, VA, I'm single. Will anyone ever love me again? And the sense of isolation. Yes. And this is something that I cannot stress enough. There is someone for everyone. And there are partners out there that there are unfortunately some people that have a hard time looking past it. But I can tell you firsthand, I'm divorced. I'm now in a very happy, healthy relationship. And I was really surprised, actually, that I thought when I went out into the dating world that I would be, rejected, but it was quite the opposite. I felt like oftentimes I would be on a first, second, third date, and when I would mention it, the person would say, "Oh my gosh, you're amazing. My aunt or my mother or my sister had breast cancer." Unfortunately, because 1 out of every 8 women is diagnosed with breast cancer, it's more common than you think. So I will tell you, please don't feel like no one could ever love you again. It's so much of this is in our heads and we tell ourselves stories, but then the reality is really, really quite different. Yes. Weight gain, hair, mental health struggles. I think there's a lot right there. So weight, I would say definitely talk to your healthcare provider, because there are so many different options, whether it's a GLP-1, and that's a very personal choice. It's not for everyone, but I know it's worked for some of my friends in the community really beautifully. Learning what foods to eat and balancing, if you're on an antidepressant or if you're on other medication, to kind of try to balance all of those things out. And as far as hair, there are so many great options out there. I was diagnosed and treated 13 years ago, and I know for me, I thought I had to go out. I got a very expensive wig, and luckily, insurance paid for a good part of it. But I didn't even. Now, fast forward, you can go on Amazon, and there's so many great resources out there. And believe it or not, I think the thing, and I was really that most of my treatment was in August. I think the thing I ended up wearing the most was the baseball cap with the hair extension. Those are all over the internet, it's a wonderful, wonderful way to just, if you need to run out for an errand and it's no fuss and it's not expensive, I highly recommend that as well. And as far as mental health goes, I cannot stress enough the importance of finding a good therapist. I always tell my friends that sometimes talk therapy is better than Xanax. And trust me, I've had my time with Xanax, and it's actually, all kidding aside, it's actually a great tool also if you're really suffering from anxiety. But I think having a good talk therapist is so important in getting you through this new way that you are looking at yourself in the mirror, and learning to adjust. And I will tell you from experience, it doesn't happen overnight, and you're going to have some days that are really hard, and then you kind of will move through life, and then you become more accustomed to it. Your eyes, you get used to seeing yourself a certain way. And for some of us, we never really fully uh, embrace it or fully feel totally comfortable with it, but it is certainly, definitely a process. Okay, these are all, you guys are amazing. These are all really, really, really great questions. So, how can my partner still find me attractive after he's seen me at my absolute worst? You know, having been in the community and speaking with so many women, this is very, very case by case. Some partners have zero issues. Some have a really hard time with it. And some, just like with you, need to kind of get used to it, and kind of walk the walk with you, and become uh, used to it, for lack of a better word. And I think also so much of this is how you feel about yourself. That's where it really starts. Because we obviously want our partners to find us sexy and attractive and pretty, just like we were before. But I know it sounds like cliche, but it really starts with loving yourself and being able to be okay with yourself. And that can be really difficult. And one really great trick that, or hack, I should say, that I know has worked for many is, if you're not there yet, if you don't feel good about how your breasts look, and you want to kind of get in the mood and be intimate, I really love a sheer camisole, because it's a sexy thing that makes you feel pretty, but there's sort of like a little bit of an illusion going on, not to hide it, but if it makes you feel more beautiful, or maybe it makes your partner feel, like there, it's not as obvious, and just gives you a little more of a layer to feel more like yourself again. I find that's a really, really good way to sort of navigate that. Um, Yes, and losing eyebrows and lashes, and having one breast smaller than the other. I actually had that issue with one breast being smaller than another, because, and this is kind of interesting, I breastfed both of my daughters, who are now young adults now, but I favored my left breast. It was always smaller. And so I was able, through reconstruction, they actually ended up being the same size. But there are so many of us that are flat, that have one breast and a flat side. And I find that if you have one breast that's smaller than the other, there are so many great, inexpensive breast forms out there. I love Anna Ono Intimates. She is I'm not sure if you're familiar, but it's an intimate apparel brand for breast cancer patients. She is amazing. And she calls them foobs. They're fake boobs. So that you can buy one or you could buy two, and they're very comfortable. They're not expensive, like when you have to buy a form, and the forms can be really heavy and cumbersome. So I really, really love those. Yes, the scars are a daily reminder of cancer. People tell me to try to live a normal life. The scars are definitely a daily reminder. And I know it, like I said, I mentioned I'm 13 years out. It took me a few years to really, I mean, it's kind of interesting now. Like I get undressed, and it really doesn't bother me. So I think at least for me, and everybody is different, it just takes time to adjust for your eyes to see what the new you looks like. And to, rather than, so many of us are like, I just want to go back to how I was before, to just try and embrace how you look and how you feel today, and to pat yourself on the back for, number one, finding, at least, knowing that you have breast cancer and doing something about it. And there's something to be said for that, for sure. Confidence. You lose your hair, you lose your lashes, you lose your breasts, and for many of us, your ovaries and your menopause. So confidence may seem impossible. And like I mentioned earlier, it doesn't come back overnight. It definitely takes time. And look, some of us were not even that confident before the breast cancer. So, and confidence it affects how you are in the workplace. It affects how you are when you go out to brunch with your friends. It affects how you are when you go on a date. And I think that it's something that is so personal, and it's so specific to, how you are in your life, but it's something that you can nurture. And I think a lot of it, not to sound superficial, but maybe even if you weren't into makeup before and you're going through treatment, a little lipstick makes you just feel a little more confident, or a great pair of earrings. So if someone stops and says, "Hey, I really like your lipstick," or "Great earrings," or "I love your hair," and you're actually wearing a wig, that could make you feel better. So sometimes just doing a few things here and there to boost your confidence. And again, it starts with you. You don't want to be doing things for someone else. You might look in the mirror and say, "You know what? I haven't really been wearing makeup. I'm going to try it. I'm going to see how that looks and how that feels." Or I'm going to, do something different with my hair. Or I hate how I look in a wig. I'm going to go without hair, and experiment a little bit to see what feels good for you. Let's see. You guys are amazing. Let's see. There are so many great comments here. Okay, so Sarah said oophorectomy, which I had. I had my ovaries removed before breast cancer, is coming in the next year or two, and I'm terrified. I don't want to do it. I'm afraid to lose the rest of my feminine body parts and close the door on expanding my family forever. Also terrified of overnight menopause. Was diagnosed at 34, now 38. This is a very, very difficult conversation, especially when it comes to closing the door on, potentially having other children. So I would stress to speak with your healthcare provider to see what your fertility options. And I actually have an episode on my podcast coming out soon about just that, because we need to advocate for ourselves. So many of us go to a doctor's appointment and maybe are afraid to ask, simply because we're there for the doctors to save our lives. So how dare we ask about other things like having children or menopause? But I really strongly recommend that you ask your doctor about that. Believe it or not, that when I had my ovaries removed, it wasn't. I expected to automatically wake up the next morning and have gray hair and wrinkles, and it wasn't like that. But the surgical menopause is something that is very sudden and serious. And back when I was treated and diagnosed, we did not have hormone replacement therapy, wasn't even on the table for the breast cancer community. It's not for all of us, but it's something that, again, you should definitely, Sarah, speak with your doctor about it, to see what you can even do proactively before your oophorectomy to manage your hormone levels. Because believe it or not, that could be, for me, the loss of estrogen was actually worse than my anxiety and depression that existed before that. So I strongly recommend speaking to your healthcare practitioner about that. And Gretchen asks, any idea for us who can't get reconstruction? I'm actually concave. I have, as I mentioned earlier, many friends in the community that are flat, and also I do know I have a couple of friends that are concave. There are really great, as I mentioned, Anna Ono, brands like that have even camisoles with a shelf where you can put a FUB, as they call it, or a breast form, if you want to do that. You can also look for more like a something really thin that doesn't if you don't, because not everybody wants to have fake breasts. So there's something that you can probably use in a camisole that has lining for an insert, or even a really soft bra, like something that's really unconstructed, can feel and look really good. And there's also some really great styling tips out there And I'll share this with ABCD, some links for the when we share this on YouTube. But there are some really good styling tips for also when you're flat, like, that I mean, it sounds silly, but you maybe don't want to wear a shirt that has words on it because it could draw attention. And I know that a lot of my friends that have issues with how they look and feel in certain outfits. They love to do like a blazer with a really great scarf. Like there are ways that you can feel really great without necessarily hiding it, but little tips and tricks of the trade. And, I'm really glad that we're actually on this topic because I'm a fashion person. Like I mentioned earlier, I was a fashion and beauty publicist before I had breast cancer. So fashion was always important to me. How I looked was always really important to me. My hair, my makeup, my clothing. And I remember when I had breast cancer, I just felt like it kind of all went out the door. And it was when I said to myself, you know what? Maybe I'll get a new top. Maybe I'll try a new lipstick. And again, it could almost sound superficial, but it's really not. Like those things can really help. And you don't have to spend a lot of money either. I would sometimes go to Target and get a new pair of earrings or a new lipstick or even a little baseball hat, just something to make you feel better about yourself. The other thing when it comes to reconnecting with yourself is I cannot stress, and also this goes to confidence and everything, is movement. And I always had to really psych myself up to go to the gym. I really always had a hard time motivating myself. But I found when I was going through treatment and after that, movement doesn't necessarily have to mean going to the gym, for a 2-hour hardcore class. Movement can mean going for a 20-minute walk. It can mean going for a very leisurely swim. It could be really soft yoga. And that I find also helps reconnect you with your body because the whole mind-body connection is so important. And when we feel good in our body, even though it may not feel familiar to us, it's going to feel changed. That movement sends signals to the brains. It releases all the feel-good chemicals, and it really, really works. And take it from me, from someone that does not love to work out. Movement definitely helps. And self-care, again, this word it's used a lot, but I think taking the time to take care of yourself and the movement, the meditation, treating yourself to something nice, even a manicure can help you with your confidence. And again, I can't stress enough how that confidence piece starts with you. And sometimes that inner voice is the meanest of all. And other people may say, "Oh, she looks great," and you're thinking to yourself, "I look awful." So it's also trying to reprogram when we look in the mirror and what we tell ourselves. And that's why, to go back to what I said earlier, that's why I think talk therapy is so critical if you're having really serious issues with how you look and how you feel in your new body. Let's see. You guys are amazing. There's so many great comments in here. Okay. So Anita, thank you for weighing in. Said no reconstruction, but don't like to look in the mirror without clothes and not thrilled with the breast form. Still grateful to be a 1-year survivor, but can't help feeling less than. This is normal. And again, it doesn't make it go away, and I'm not minimizing it, but I'm so glad that you're all here. And I'm hoping that even by you all seeing these comments, that you're feeling connected and not alone, and that you're not the only one, because it can feel really lonely. Your family members, your friends, you can talk to them all day, all night, but they're not going to get it. And that's why I think community is so important, to plug into things like this and not to let it end here. I'm hoping that maybe some of you will chat offline, and maybe some of you see where, if you're in similar areas of the country or you just connect on a certain level. We don't want it to end here. I can't express enough how important it is to connect and to plug in, because like I said before, we could be really our own worst enemy. And I know the breast forms I don't love, and it takes time to adjust. And like I said, I have friends that have gone flat, and it's always hard. It's always hard for them. But I think the most important thing is for you to be kind to yourself and to know, and this is where I'm going to stand on my pedestal and say, and this is where I almost get angry at cancer. Like, cancer has taken so much away from us, our hair, our breasts, our ovaries, so many things, time away from our family, time away from our career. There's so much loss and there's so much grieving. But I will tell you, do not let it take away the essence of the woman that you are inside. That can never be taken away. And that's why I say it's so important to tap in and to hold on to her and to catch yourself when you're having these negative thoughts, because sometimes it's really just a matter of reprogramming those thoughts a little bit and looking in the mirror and saying, okay, I don't have nipples. I have one breast. I'm still the same person. I still make a great bolognese sauce, or I still sing beautifully, or I'm still like the most amazing mom, or I'm the top of my career. You have to make sure that you look at the whole picture and not just the physical part. And it's really, 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 really hard to do that sometimes. Sunny, you are singing my song. Said men don't care in my experience. I have a funny little story to tell. I remember, so my mom also had breast cancer, and I remember crying to her because, as I mentioned, I'm divorced, and I was diagnosed and treated with breast cancer before that. But then after the divorce, I had to go out into the world and date, and at the age of 40, 45, and we all know that online dating is scary on a good day with no cancer involved. And I remember crying to my mom saying, how can I possibly go on a dating app? I had breast cancer. I have breast implants. And she was like, Melissa, you're not that unique. 1 out of every 8 women are diagnosed with breast cancer every year. So there's a very good chance, and this is to all of my single ladies out there, or my single people, that there's the likelihood of you dating someone that either dated someone else that had breast cancer or know someone that's very close to them is very likely. So don't cut yourself short and say, no one can ever love me again. I can't stress enough, because you might be like missing out on the love of your life out there. And it took me a few years to meet someone really fantastic, but he gets it, and it does not even faze him, and it doesn't faze me either. So do not cut yourself short. Yes, here, Laura. Feeling like my body betrayed me, having a hard time loving my body. This is really, really hard to navigate. And I think the first thing that we need to do is not brush it under the rug, not say everything's going to be okay, but just kind of sit in it. And it's okay to cry, and it's okay to grieve it. But I also want you to try to thank your body for going through and enduring treatment and reconstruction and all of the emotional ups and downs, and having to tell your family and loved ones that you have breast cancer, and and all of those things. And I know how I felt the same way. I felt like that my body betrayed me, especially having the BRCA gene, and being monitored for every year. And then I was one of those people that said, I had my ovaries out, I'm eating kale, I'm doing yoga, I am not getting breast cancer. And that was a huge betrayal. And, as far as loving your body, what helped me was not doing crazy gym workouts, but moving and eating well and hydrating and taking really good care of myself. And I felt like that kind of combated that betrayal feeling, because I'm like, all right, you know what? Things have changed. I don't look the same, but I am going to do even better with my eating and my hydrating and my movement. And again, I don't want to sound like these things are just do this and just say that and it happens overnight. It takes time. It is a process. And that's why it's so important that we have these conversations, so that even just by sharing in the chat that you feel like your body betrayed you, it's so important to see these feelings on paper and to let them out, and to even journal them, because they are valid and they are real. And I know when I was going through this, I felt really alone in these emotions, and it's really easy to do that. You know, we're going to be doing other sessions through the series, and we're going to be talking more about intimacy. And this really it really goes hand in hand with confidence. So it's very hard to be intimate if you're not comfortable with yourself. So, you know, when it comes to um, going there, and Carrie, if you don't mind just going back for a second, um, when it comes to really going into that place of feeling like you could be intimate with someone again, it's really important to kind of really get in touch with yourself first and see what feels good first, just one-on-one, whether it be using a vibrator or masturbation. And it doesn't have to be anything hardcore. It could be watching 50 Shades of Grey, reading a really hot novel. You know, it doesn't have to be, and just kind of like turning yourself on again to the point where you're like, oh, there she is. And if you don't feel like you can get there again, talk to your doctor. You can, you know, talk therapy is wonderful for this. And don't give yourself time when it comes to intimacy. It's so easy to think, well, I don't want to let my partner down. They want to have sex. Guess what? You could say, time out. How about we hold hands first? How about we kiss? And those things are considered intimacy. And intimacy is going to look different when you're going through something like breast cancer, and that's okay. And I just want everyone here to know that intimacy does not have to mean full on penetration. It doesn't have to mean, you know, full on sex. It can mean just being close with your partner, and to communicate to your partner and let them know that that's going to be better for you to sort of take things slow and not rush into something that you're not ready for. I cannot stress that enough. Let's see what we have. So many. Let's see. Oh, wow, Laura. Laura said, "You're making me tear up. I hope I can figure out why, but I think it has to do with self-acceptance." We're 40 minutes in, and I know we could probably, I wish I could be in a room with all of you right now, truly, to give you hugs. And that's why these conversations are so important. The last thing I want to do is make you tear up, but I think it's important that we know that we opened up something in you that maybe you haven't tapped into on your own yet. And self-acceptance, again, it is not an overnight thing. I'm 13 years out. I feel great about myself, but there are certainly some days and some things that I find hard to accept. And I know it may seem superficial, just a little comic relief. I learned the hard way that again, fashion person, and I always loved wearing strapless gowns and strapless bathing suits. And I remember when my kids were little, we were on the beach and I had a strapless bathing suit on, and it was not long after my post mastectomy, and I didn't realize how numb I was until my daughter said, "Mommy, your bathing suit," and it was like basically covering my stomach, and I quickly yanked it up. But there, even when you're far out into the process, there are going to be certain things that are going to remind you. I'm like, wow, and again, it sounds superficial. I can't wear anything strapless anymore, but it's just one of those things. It's like, what do you mean? Like, why can't I wish I could do that. It's so unfair. So self-acceptance piece does definitely take time. And I think, sort of like what I mentioned earlier, that being kind to yourself. If anyone has to go and like get the kids from school or the laundry, if there's one thing I want you to take away from this conversation is to be good to yourself, because you'd be surprised. Like, you could be like making a scrambled egg and you're thinking, man, I hate the way my scars look. Like, it's always kind of there. So if nothing else, I want to bring that heightened awareness to you that self-talk is there, and to not ignore her, but say, you know what? Okay, I see you, but I am not going to let you take the wind out of my sails. And that's really just important And it's a coping tool. It's truly a coping tool. Laura said, yes, you are onto something. I feel the same way. Self-acceptance, that has always been hard because I've been a perfectionist. Ugh. Yes. So many perfectionists out here, including myself. And you gotta, you have to cut. And again, this is something we hear all the time. Give yourself grace, and you know, and do the best you can. And like, guys, like, take a minute. Like, you're fighting for your life, and you're winning. And again, I'm not minimizing the hair loss and the loss of libido and all those things, but try and see the good things also, like how you know how great you might feel because you finished treatment, or that you're able to go back to work and you feel kind of good doing it. Like, whatever that is for you, just give yourself some grace. And I know I'm definitely a perfectionist myself. Ashley, I feel I'm ready to have sex again, but I'm afraid my partner isn't attracted to me anymore. Let's not assume anything. And it's so important that you talk to your partner and share this with them. And you say, I want you. I am so ready to have sex again, but I'm just afraid that you are not attracted to me anymore. And that's a really hard conversation to have, because what if they say that they have issues? Well, guess what? There's always a way to work through it. And it's just so important to talk about that before you get into the bedroom, because otherwise what happens is, and like what even happened to me is, like, I would almost shudder, like, and he would be like, what? Like, I'm like, oh, never mind. It's okay to share how you feel, and it's okay to take things really slow. And maybe you don't want him to touch your breast, or her to touch your breasts anymore. That's okay. I actually had a conversation with someone not that long ago where she and her partner, basically, it's almost like they have a map. They know where she wants to be touched, where she does not. And it's very clear. And guess what? It's made their sex life so much better, because your partner might be afraid to touch you. This could open up a conversation for both of you, because your partner is probably also going through similar emotions, like maybe is afraid to touch you, or maybe is not even sure if you want them anymore. So I think it's just so important to have those conversations. Yeah, Daniela said, now that I'm coming out of medically induced menopause, I'm starting to get my libido back. You go, girl. That's great. Like, take a minute and just know that that's really great news. But just the thought of dating or talking to someone sounds exhausting and scary, to discover that things are different in my body, especially with someone new. I'm going to say, have fun with it. Just trying to have fun with it, and don't take the dating thing too seriously. I went on the dating apps really being scared and like just freaking myself out. If you go on there or put yourself out there, if you're not on the apps and just, going to new places to meet new people, say to yourself, you know what? I'm looking to make some new friends. And if those connections turn into something bigger, that's awesome. But I think take the pressure off of yourself. And like I said before, you will be so surprised. Yes, there are going to be people that are like, oh, you don't have breasts or you have reconstruction. That's not for me. But when I tell you, I've been doing this for so many years. I've had a podcast for 5 years. More often than not, you're going to hear, you're amazing. Tell me more. Oh my God, my mother, sister, aunt had breast cancer. More likely that you will hear words like that. And you know what? You're more than your breast cancer. I have a friend that said to me once, Melissa, am I even dateable? And I could tear up. I wanted to cry because she's incredible. She's smart. She's gorgeous. She's funny. She lives in New York, like all the things. Are you dateable? So we really have to cut ourselves some slack and not put a wall up before we even put ourselves out there. And guess what? There are people out there that also there are men that have, testicular cancer. There there are things on the other side. It's a two-way street. Nobody is perfect. So I just want you to remember that. Okay, Renee, thrust into menopause and libido has been essentially absent since. That was almost 4 years ago. My husband has been understanding, but I feel bad about it. Again, Renee, I would talk to him about it and tell him that you feel bad about it and see if there are things that you can do, like I mentioned earlier, that are intimate, but maybe not full blown sex. Maybe it's cuddling on the couch or cuddling in bed or like going somewhere romantic and having a picnic and holding hands and walking. I even have a friend who loves when her partner reads to her, or reading, a hot novel or watching a really sexy movie. Like sometimes it just kind of flicks the switches, if you will. At the same time, I would also talk to your doctor. I would talk to your oncologist and ask wherever you get your care if there is someone that you can speak to that is really knowledgeable about cancer and sexual health. There are more and more resources out there. I don't think it's acceptable if there are not. If they don't have one, then keep looking. But I cannot stress the importance. There are incredible experts out there that are focused on this and that have all kinds of tools that you can learn about to help you with your libido, whether it's hormone replacement therapy or, if there's something physically wrong, they can determine that, if you need to, be dilated or anything. Talk to your partner and also hand in hand, talk to your healthcare team for sure. Okay. Dana, this is awesome. I'm so glad you brought this up. I ended up being referred to my OBGYN by my oncologist, and she put me on vaginal estrogen, DHEA cream. It was a game changer, helped so much. Also, it has been researched and proven to be safe for people with breast cancer. I'm sure ABCD has a disclaimer. We do not offer medical advice. You must always ask your doctor. But OMG, vaginal estrogen, I cannot tell you enough. And thank you for bringing this up, Dana, has done wonders for so many in the breast cancer community. As I'm sure many of you might know, the black box warning was actually removed. So from what I understand and from my own research and conversations with experts, the vaginal estrogen is safe for breast cancer patients and survivors to use. Again, very case by case, speak with your doctor. Dana, maybe you could share with us how it was a game changer. I'm curious because I know that it has helped. It helps a lot with lubrication. And, if you don't feel like there's moisture there, obviously it could be painful. And then the thought of having sex when you're in pain is obviously not fun. So, that vaginal estrogen is definitely something also to ask your doctor about if you're having issues with intimacy for sure. So, first of all, you guys are amazing. We've hit so many really great points, and I talk fast, and I felt like I'm jumping around a little bit. We about confidence, intimacy, dating. There's just a lot to unpack in an hour, but let's go a couple layers a little deeper and talk about what the hardest part has been for all of you. I mentioned looking in the mirror earlier can be really hard for us. Accepting your physical changes, just feeling confident, feeling like yourself again, reconnecting with your body, and feeling comfortable with intimacy. These are all really, really can be very, really difficult things to navigate. So maybe if any of you would like to share what's been the hardest part, and we can dive into that a little bit. Feeling confident, pretty, or cute. That's what Ashley said. Thank you for weighing in. And again, you're talking to a fashionista. So retail therapy is fantastic. And again, you don't have to spend a lot of money. Amazon has great things. Treat yourself to a new top, and your body changes after breast cancer. So maybe you had breasts before and you're flat now. I know for me, as you can see, I'm very. Can you guys hear me now? Uh-oh. I'm so sorry. uh, Having a really great microphone is a blessing and a curse because if I touch it ever so softly, I will mute myself. I am so sorry about that. So a little technical difficulty. Thank you. I'm seeing all the, it was like the chat was blowing up. So what I was saying is that even though it could seem superficial, retail therapy is fantastic. Amazon there are so many great options. Like I was also mentioning earlier, like a halter top I feel comfortable in this particular neckline. Like there are some necklines that you may not like anymore, and it's okay to edit your wardrobe. And I think for me, a really good place to start is with your clothing because the color that you wear, the cut how it falls on your body, it's so foundational to how you're going to feel about yourself. So I think, experiment with different necklines, try different things. Again, you don't have to spend a lot of money. Amazon is great, Target is great. And try different colors, different and if you need to Ashley is saying, I feel self-conscious about your weight gain and about going back to work and your coworkers' reactions. You know what? You're fighting breast cancer, and it weight gain is very hard on all of us, especially with the media and the supermodels and all the things. But love how you are right now. And if you need to get a few items, some great tops and some bottoms that are a little, maybe go a size up, it's okay. You're going to feel better. You're going to look better and you're going to be more comfortable in your skin. And weight is something that could be managed, and it could be changed. But just don't be so hard on yourself. And it's okay to go a size up. I've done it myself. And I'll admit, I hated it. I was like, oh my God, I was never, a large. But when I put the garment on, I'm like, you know what? I look good. This is good for me right now. And, just to be open to trying new colors, new sizes, and new necklines are all really important tools. And also working, if you don't like the way your hair is growing back, you can speak with your hairstylist and, maybe you could try extensions, or maybe you want to wear a wig for a little longer, or maybe you want to, color your hair. And, I would say find the thing that you struggle with the most. If it's the weight gain, speak to your doctor and ask what you can do. What are your options? Speak to a nutritionist. If it's more like, that you lost your lashes, maybe try false ones. There are so many lighter ones now that aren't so heavy that you can wear even if you have no lashes.
So Melissa, I just want to say we're about 5 more minutes if you want to take one or two more comments, and then we can wrap up.
Absolutely. Well, you all have been amazing. We have 5 more minutes, and I would say just drop your questions, whatever is really bothering you right now, and something that you really need help with, or that you just need to get out on paper. Oh yes, Grande Lash is good. I've used it before. There are some really good lash serums out there. Again, you just want to check with your doctor. They don't all love them. I remember even 13 years ago, my oncologist was like, no fake nails, no lashes. I'm like, what? I can't hear you. So you definitely want to ask your doctor. Let's see. Anybody else? I'll scroll back through to a couple of the earlier questions. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like, I'm really glad that I had this conversation, and, there are so many topics to cover, but confidence seems to be a really big, a common theme for all of us. Lori asks, has anyone got a suggestion for a good supportive bra that I can use with my prosthetic? Um, Again, I know that Anna Ono has good ones because they have the breast form pocket. So I would definitely try Anna Ono and see what they have there. It's annaono.com. They have beautiful, beautiful bras. I just have to thank all of you for such beautiful messages about how this conversation helped you all so much. And I know that the team is going to mention the upcoming webinars, but our conversation here doesn't need to end right here. I would encourage you to, and this is so not promotional, but I'm just offering my support. If you would like to reach out to me on Instagram, on my platform, my account is Cancer Fashionista. I'm a real person. I answer messages. I take phone calls seriously. Just send me a DM. I'm also, if Carrie wants to drop it, my email is melissa@cancerfashionista.com. Please, please, please. I am so here for you. I always say I wish that I had someone, that I could lean in on that really understood what I was going through. So please don't hesitate. Again, this conversation, I don't want it to end here. Feel free to reach out to me. And especially if you want it to be private, I'm more than happy to converse with you and answer any questions that you may have. Or if you think of something next week and you're like, oh, I forgot to ask her, please feel free to ask me. And I just want to thank ABCD for inviting me, for the honor of supporting all of you today. And I'm just so proud of all of you for showing up. Like I said earlier, the biggest form of self-care is what you just did for yourself for this past hour. So thank you all for joining me here. And thank you, ABCD, for the honor of hosting this call.
Yes, thank you so much, Melissa. We were so glad that you joined us today. For everyone in the ABCD family, and for those of you new to ABCD, we continue to have these LEAP series. The next part 2 of the series with Melissa will be on August 25th. And then we'll have one at the end of September as well. So please join us for that. Remember, you are registered for both of those with your registration today. We will be sending out the recording. Any of the companies or products that Melissa mentioned, we will send you links to those as well as any social media for ABCD, as well as for Cancer Fashionista. And just know that you're not alone, right? That's what ABC and Cancer Fashionista are all about. If there is something that was brought up today that really speaks to you, there are over 350 ABCD mentors across the country that are here waiting to support you one-on-one. So a lot of us have walked these paths or are walking the path and are here to help navigate and to help share what worked for us. There's so many great things in the chat today about people that have been there, right? They've used different things, they've experimented, they've talked to their doctors, they've used different products that are so helpful. So please don't hesitate. If you or someone you know needs support and are facing or going through a breast cancer diagnosis, we're here to help and get you matched up with someone that's just like you, that has been through some of those things, and they can help share what worked for them. So again, with heartfelt thanks to Melissa, again, the ABCD team, and everyone on this call today, thank you so much. Go forth, be confident, and we're here to help you. Have a great day.